Welcome, everybody, to Inside Sports on LCTV 66. Alongside Nick DeAnastasios, I'm Eric May. And Nick, boy, it's been half a year since we got together, and there's a lot of things we need to get to.
Right, Eric, it's the first show together since April of this past year when we did the March Madness.
Yeah. Well, and I guess before we get into football, we got to talk a little bit about the World Series, the Houston Astros win their first ever championship. Your thoughts?
Astros, that's one of the great stories in sports. They become the first team in Major League Baseball history to go to the World Series in two different leagues. It's the American League team in 2005 when they lost to the White Sox, I think 4 games to none, when they were in the National League. Now they win the World Series as an American League team for the first time ever.
Yeah. And, they always talk about, teams that could be built for a dynasty, which is so hard to do.
Very hard to do.
With free agency and injuries and everything else. But you look at this Astros team, and this is a very young team, sprinkled in with some seasoned veterans, guys that have been down this road before. If there is a team that could be built for a long haul, it could be the Houston Astros.
Right, exactly. There's no question about that.
A lot of people thought about the Chicago Cubs, but you can see what 1 year a difference can make.
Right.
Granted, the Cubs made it to the the playoffs this year, but it's hard to get back there and win it again.
It's hard to win back-to-back years. It's very difficult to win back-to-back years.
Hard to win one to begin with, but then to come back and win a second time
is even more difficult.
Yes. So,
absolutely.
Were you actually for the Astros, or were you pulling for the Dodgers?
I was pulling for the Astros because Astros to win the World Series because they never won a World Series before, so I wanted the Astros to win the World Series.
Even the fact that Chase Utley there was on the Dodgers?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Even the fact that he is.
Well, I feel the same way. Astros had never won. Plus, with everything that Houston had been through this year.
Yeah, they went through a lot. They really did. With the hurricane issue.
I thought it was a really good story.
It was, absolutely.
And the fact that missing piece that they got in Justin Verlander at the trade deadline, that might have been the biggest difference.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, he's an outstanding pitcher. I remember he was really good for many years with the Tigers.
Yeah, you look at what he did. I mean, 2 strong outings. Not only in the divisional playoffs, but in the World Series.
Right. Oh, yeah.
If they don't have him, maybe they don't win it.
Right.
But, hats off to the Astros, first time World Series champions. Right. All right. As far as the NFL is concerned, here we are at the halfway point. I don't know how many people would have thought that the Eagles would be at 8-1 at this point.
I know what you mean. That's amazing, isn't it? Well, what a hot start they're off to.
But let me know your thoughts on what you've seen out of the Eagles this year.
Well, I think the big key to their success this year was the NFL draft when they built and got players that can really excel well around Carson Wentz and made him a better quarterback. That was the difference.
Yeah.
The offensive line improved from the NFL draft and veterans they picked up. Then they helped pick up some big offensive weapons from the NFL draft that helped in the running back position, wide receiver, all that stuff. That made a big difference.
Yeah.
And their defense really improved too.
Yeah. Well,
their amazing success overall so far.
Yeah. You look back last year, and Carson Wentz really didn't have many weapons to throw to as far as receivers are concerned. So they go out and they address that. Torrey Smith, Alshon Jeffries, guys that are experienced.
Yeah.
And then they pull off a trade, get Jay Ajayi from the Dolphins to complement Leonard Fournette, or not Leonard Fournette, the running back that was with the Patriots. All of a sudden his name just escaped me.
LeGarrette Blount, something like that. LeGarrette Blount.
Yes.
Right.
So there's a compliment. Now the question, that I think, as looking at the Eagles situation, Jason Peters goes down with an injury. He's out for the year. He is a solid person on that offensive line. I thought maybe they would have done something to pull in a veteran. What do you think?
Well, they got to find a way to fill that hole for the rest of the year, the offensive line. But when Peters went down with that unfortunate injury, they got to find a way to do that, to fix that.
Yeah. That, and you lose Hicks on the defensive side of the ball.
That hurts too, right?
Yeah. But to their credit, they have rebounded and they have really come together. Now coming off a bye week, which is perfect for them because now it gives them a chance to really get healthy for the second half of the season. Now they've got a game. You know, you look at the rest of the schedule. All right, let's run through this. Give me your predictions on this. Right now at 8-1, tell me win or loss the rest of the way for the Eagles. Okay?
Sure.
At Dallas, a win or a loss?
I see the Eagles winning at Dallas next week. I see that happening. The way the Eagles are playing right now, the Eagles can win any place.
Okay.
Wellsburg on all cylinders, how they're working.
Now they're home against the Bears. Is that a win?
You mean the Eagles are?
Yes.
I would think it would be, yes.
Okay, so that's another win. Now we're looking at 10-1. At Seattle.
At Seattle? Oh, that's because Seattle's, I guess, really good again this year. So, I'm gonna say Seattle probably might have winning that one. Seattle.
Seattle wins that one.
I would
Okay,
think
so that's
so.
an Eagles loss. Then they play at the LA Rams, a very much improved team. Is that an Eagles win or a Rams win?
I'll pick the Eagles to win that one on
Okay.
the road.
Okay, and then they're 3 consecutive road games. Then they're at the New York Giants.
I see them beating the Giants. The Giants are really having a rough year this year.
Home against the Raiders on Christmas Day.
I see them beating the Raiders on Christmas Day at home. I said that's very possible.
And then they end the season New Year's Eve at home against the Cowboys.
I'll say Eagles win.
Wow. So you have the Eagles at 14-2.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. We'll push that aside now. Let's look at the other teams first in the NFC. Tell me who were some of your surprises and some of the teams that you think underachieved this year so far?
Well, the 49ers, they've really had a rough year. They lost some close games at the beginning of the year and had to go off to a rough start, you know. And I think and the Falcons are pretty good again this year. They've come back. They should have never lost Super Bowl last year to New England.
No.
They blew that Super Bowl.
Right. Okay. With that being mentioned, they trail the Saints by 2 games in the standings. Do the Falcons make the playoffs this year?
I can see the Falcons bouncing back and making a playoffs. They're still a very good football team. I see that happening. At least as a wild card.
I want to make notes of this because I want to go back after the season's
Yeah.
over and look at your
Right.
your guesses. All right. How about in the NFC North? Vikings doing very well even without Teddy Bridgewater. Is this a team that could make a serious run at a Super Bowl?
The Vikings?
Yeah.
I don't know. I see them at least going to the first or second round of the playoffs. At least being that good anyway. Let's put it that way.
All right. So then let's backpedal. Let's go back to the Eagles then. Is there anybody in the NFC that you see that could beat the Eagles, or are the Eagles on a fast track to a Super Bowl appearance?
Well, the Eagles so far are on a fast track of Super Bowl appearance, but anybody can beat anybody on a given day. You know how that goes.
Yep.
So I mean, the Eagles still have a handful in the NFC playoffs. Whoever they play in the NFC, in the first round or second round,
And you think
whoever they're
about
going to
it,
face.
the way that the Eagles are kind of running away with this division right now, they might be the only team out of the NFC East to make the playoffs. So if we look at it, Minnesota, the Saints, the Rams, you can't count out the Seahawks, the Carolina Panthers.
Right, exactly. I would agree with that.
So do you think it almost will come down to who has to play, who has to travel, as opposed to who gets to play at home?
I guess, yeah, that's a lot of possibility. Yes, absolutely. Because sometimes teams can go out and beat teams on the road, go out and win big road games in the playoffs. We've seen it happen more than once over the years.
Okay.
All
right. So you see the Eagles making it to the NFC, at least the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, I'd say that happening. Absolutely, sure.
Okay.
The way they're playing right now.
Now, of course, we don't know how this is all going to pan out as far as division winners, seedings, and everything else. But if you had to look at the NFC, who would you think Eagles could possibly face in an NFC Championship game?
Well, I'm gonna say it's possible they may face. There's always. I'm not gonna count out the Vikings. There's always a possibility. 49ers obviously not. Maybe the Carolina Panthers, I guess, is a possibility. Or maybe the Atlanta Falcons is another one to throw in there.
I think if you're the Eagles,
Well, of course, Green Bay lost their quarterback. That hurts.
they're not the same without Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
Now, I think especially for the Eagles, if you want to look at teams like the Rams, the Seahawks, you don't want to have to go out there. You want them to come across the country.
Right,
Let
exactly.
them do the traveling. So that's why.
Exactly, I would agree.
That's why I think it's really going to be serious for the Eagles to make it serious, a hard push to have the best record so that they can host throughout the playoffs.
Absolutely, it's very important Eagles can achieve that, to get the home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Hopefully that's possible for them.
Okay, so we threw out a bunch of different scenarios. Eagles versus who in the NFC Championship game? Give me a prediction.
That's a good question because, like I said, they could face possibly the
it could be anybody, but
Minnesota or Carolina or Atlanta. I'm going to say I'll put the Atlanta Falcons in there.
Eagles and Falcons.
Because they went to Super Bowl last year and should have won it, so I figure they want to get back there.
Battle of the Birds.
Right.
All right. Okay. Well, we're gonna take a brief timeout. When we come back, I have a couple of trivia questions, and then we want to get into the AFC and get your thoughts on who you think is going to make a run there.
Sure,
So,
absolutely.
all right. So we'll step aside for a brief moment. We'll be back with more Inside Sports right after this.
LCTV 66 is your connection for high school and college sports. Catch the action of your favorite teams in Lancaster County. Coverage of basketball, ice hockey, field hockey, soccer, football, and more. To join the LCTV sports production team or to sponsor or underwrite a sporting event, contact us at info@lctv66.org or call 717-394-LCTV. This is your community, your teams on your local sports channel, Lancaster Community TV.
LCTV 66 is your community channel, and your donations keep us on the air and help to produce more local programs. Send your tax-deductible donation of $500, $100, or more to the address on the screen. Or think of it this way: for the price of a couple of movie tickets, you can help support your community channel. Send what you can and be a part of all that is good about Lancaster County. Thank you for your tax-deductible donation to LCTV 66, Lancaster's Connection.
Welcome back to Inside Sports on LCTV 66. Eric May, Nick DeAnastasius. We touched on the NFC. Want to get to the AFC, but Nick, I want to throw out a trivia question for you.
Sure.
This is kind of a multi-answer trivia question.
Okay.
Philadelphia Eagles, retired jerseys. Do you know how many jerseys they have retired?
That's a good question. I'm going to say, I'm going to say it's got to be. There's probably. I'll say probably about 6 or 7, approximately.
How about 9?
9. Oh
9.
My God! Wow.
So of the 9, you want to try and guess as to who it was?
Sure.
And see it.
I'll say.
Test your knowledge.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Out of the 9. Okay. I'll say Randall Cunningham.
No.
Not retired. Oh, I thought it was going to be retired. Okay. All right.
Unless what I'm looking at isn't isn't current.
I'll say Chuck Bednarik. That's an easy one. Tom Brookshire.
Yes.
Tommy McDonald.
You know what? Well, now I think he's in their Ring of Honor. I don't know if he's actually has his number retired. Because he wore number 25.
Right, that's correct.
All right.
I'll say Donovan McNabb, another one?
Yes, Donovan McNabb is another one.
Okay.
You have 3 that are fairly recent.
Okay.
Now, when I say recent, I'm talking maybe 15, 20 years.
Over the past 15 or 20 years. Okay. Okay. I'm going to say, What about Brian Dawkins?
Yes. Brian Dawkins is another one.
Okay. How about Brian Westbrook?
No.
He's not in there. I'm kind of surprised. He had a pretty good career with the Eagles.
Think defense.
Bill Berge would be
No.
one of them. I would think Bill. I already said Chuck Bednarik. That's all done.
Yep.
Okay. Let me see. Think defense. That would be. Think of an Eagles linebacker that might have a
Think
number.
defensive line.
A defensive line. Okay. What would that be? Gotta remember that. Defensive line would be.
I can give you a hint. One left way too soon. Another one left via free agency.
Oh my God. Interesting.
Should I give you the number? If I give you the number, you'll know who it is.
Yeah. You don't need to give me a number. I
Okay.
understand that.
Okay.
There was. Oh my gosh. There's a number retired by the Eagles a long time ago. White. Last name's White.
Reggie White.
Reggie White.
Yep.
There's one.
Yep.
Reggie White. Okay. Think who else it would be.
At a University of Miami.
Would it be Jerome Brown?
Jerome Brown.
And he only played the Eagles about 5 or 6 years because he died.
4.
He died in a tragic accident, car accident.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then other ones I have here were Al Wistert, who played in the 40s and into the early 50s, Pete Retzlaff, and Steve Van Buren. So those are
Isn't that
those are
something?
going
Oh my
way,
God.
way back.
Way back, right.
But you got the current ones. All right. Let's get to the AFC and take a look at the scenario here. Eagles best record in football.
Yeah, that's remarkable what
Now-
they've done so far.
New England, not the New England team that we're used to, but still leading the AFC East. You got the Steelers. Roethlisberger hasn't really played as well as Roethlisberger has seen, but they're leading the division. Who do you see as a front runner for the AFC come playoff time?
That's a good question because Steelers are pretty good. They should. I mean, and the Patriots are pretty good, but probably not as good as they used to be. They're not quite the same, but they're still pretty solid.
Okay.
I think also in the AFC would be a force to be reckoned with in that AFC conference for teams to the playoffs.
Okay. A surprise in the AFC and a disappointment in the AFC as far as preseason expectations. Who's been a pleasant surprise in the AFC?
Pleasant surprise in the AFC. I got to think of what team would be a pleasant surprise in the AFC. Who that would be? Which division? I got to think which that would be. AFC.
Well, here's the standings if you want to, or the divisions if you want to look at them. One kind of jumps out at me right off the bat. I don't know about you, but the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jacksonville Jaguars, yes.
Yeah. Now, what about a team that you thought would have done better?
Oh, the
has-
Kansas City Chiefs were off to a pretty nice start. They have a pretty good year,
Yeah.
as usual.
Yeah. Yeah. What about a team that's underachieved for the AFC? Somebody you thought was going to be a lot better than what they've shown.
I think what would be the biggest disappointment in the AFC would be. I got to give that some thought. Which team that would be? The AFC was the biggest disappointment so far. Oh, okay. Just look at the scale. Okay. It would be. Would it be? I guess it'd be Indianapolis 3-7. That's
Even more than Denver? Because Denver had the best defense. And
Right.
Here, Denver is struggling.
Denver's only 3-6. That's a
Offensively,
big disappointment for
yeah.
them. There's no question about it.
They're just not scoring any points.
Right.
They're
Oh,
just
yeah.
not scoring. All right. So we made a prediction, or you made a prediction as far as the NFC is concerned. You said Eagles and Falcons. Give me a prediction for an AFC championship game. Of course, with so many things to be determined.
Yeah,
But-
I know what you mean. So much to be determined, right? Well, I tell you, you know what? I'm gonna say. I got to think this one out for a minute. I guess I got to put New England in there in the AFC Championship game probably.
With?
New England's still 7-2.
Okay. With who?
Who'd they go up against? Okay. I'll say I'll say New England and Kansas City.
New England and Kansas City.
Yes.
Okay. Did you make a prediction as far as the NFC then? Was it going to be who going to the Super Bowl?
From the
The
NFC.
Eagles? You think the Eagles are going to go to the Super Bowl or the Falcons going to go back?
Oh, that's a good question. I know the Falcons have more recent Super Bowl experience. That's the difference, though.
Okay.
There's a difference there.
So you have the two conference championships. Give me who's going to be in the Super Bowl.
Okay. I can see if the Eagles can keep playing like they're playing right now for the rest of the year. I'm not saying they have to go undefeated the rest of the year. Just win almost the rest of their games and be really consistent. I could see the Eagles possibly getting the Super Bowl past Atlanta in the NFC Championship game is a great possibility.
Okay, and who's going to go to the Super Bowl AFC? Kansas City or New England? Based on your prediction.
Based on that, okay. I'll say in the Super Bowl, I'll say it'll be the Eagles. Of course, the Chiefs are still 6-3. I don't want to count them out. I'll say Eagles and Eagles and New England. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. A rematch of Super Bowl past. Okay.
Right. Exactly.
All right. A couple more trivia questions for you before we run out of time.
Absolutely.
1985, Eagles used their second round pick on the All-American punter from the NCAA that year.
Oh my God!
Who was it?
I'm gonna take a guess. At the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, Randall Cunningham.
Oh, very good. I thought that was going to be a trick question for you. All right. Eagles acquired quarterback Ron Jaworski in a trade. Do you remember who the Eagles traded to get Ron Jaworski?
And it was
This was to the LA Rams.
To the LA Rams. Okay.
Remember who it was?
To get Ron Jaworski. I'm going to guess at that one. I'm going to say, was it Charlie Young?
It was Charlie Young. Very good. All right. 2 for 2. Super Bowl question. Who was the first wide receiver to be named Super Bowl MVP?
First wide receiver, Super Bowl MVP. Okay. Okay. Oh my gosh, that could be. It's obviously more than one. Obviously, not the entire history, of course. I'm gonna guess and say. Oh my gosh, I'll say Lynn Swann.
It was Lynn Swann. Very good. Give me the first NFL quarterback to pass for more than 4,000 yards in a season.
Okay, the first one the first one ever. Got it. Okay, I'm gonna say would it be Joe Namath with the Jets.
Joe Namath with the Jets is correct. And let's see if you can go a perfect 5 for 5 then. Who holds the record for the most NFL seasons played?
The record for NFL seasons ever played.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's amazing too.
oh my God, I'm going to take a guess at that one. George Blanda, 27 years in the NFL.
Wow, 26.
26.
Think about it. 26 years.
Played he's 48. That's unbelievable.
Could almost have a father-son team.
Right.
That's
amazing.
That really
Yeah.
is something else.
Yeah.
When you think about it. All right, we talked about a 4,000-yard quarterback. Who was the first Eagles quarterback to throw for more than 3,600 yards in a season?
Okay. All right. It obviously wasn't Randall Cunningham. I don't think it was Randall Cunningham.
You got to go back a ways before this. And I forgot this guy even played for the Eagles. There's a hint.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'll say Norm Van Brocklin.
No, that's a good guess. Not it though.
Okay. Oh, Roman Gabriel.
Nope. I remember him.
Yeah. Would that guy be?
I'll give you a hint. The other team that he played for was the Washington Redskins.
Oh, Sonny Jurgensen.
Sonny Jurgensen. I completely forgot that he played for the Eagles.
So did I for the longest time. I found out later
Right.
he started his career with the Eagles and went to the Redskins in a trade.
Yep, did very well down in D.C.
Yeah, ended up being an NFL Hall of Famer.
Yep.
Sonny Jurgensen.
Okay, all right, Nick, we got you down. Patriots and Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. Eagles and Falcons in the NFC Championship game, and then the Eagles and the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
You got it.
We have it down. We have it on tape. So we'll see how it all pans out come the beginning of February. All right, very good. Thank you, Nick. And thank you for joining us inside Sports LCTV 66. For Nick DeAnastasios, I'm Eric May. We'll see you next time.